Liv Morgan instantly reacts to Dominik Mysterio's landmark win at WWE X AAA Worlds Collide, Las Vegas. Hello guys. Welcome to my channel. I am Elena. Have a nice day. For the latest news update, please subscribe the channel and press the bell icon. Liv Morgan reacts as Dominik Mysterio made history at WWE X AAA Worlds Collide Las Vegas when he captured the AAA Mega Championship. Mysterio became a double champion on Friday, September 12th, when he beat Vikingo for the AAA Mega Championship while holding his Intercontinental title. Moments after the bell rang, Mysterio's on-screen partner, Liv Morgan, couldn't control her emotions as she took to X to express her love for the Luchador El Sucio de los Sucios, King of the Luchadors, greatest Intercontinental champion of all time. She called him dirtiest of the dirty, while praising his accomplishments following the win. This follows a pattern from Morgan, who always reacts to all the significant wins of Mysterio. Even though she can't join him in the ring, she sends her love through her messages on social media. She also shared her reaction on X after the groundbreaking win. Check that here. The win came after a very chaotic and thrilling main event at Worlds Collide, which saw the interference from many WWE superstars. Finn Balor had asked Mysterio to handle the match on his own in a backstage segment earlier, but came out along with JD McDonough to help their Judgment Day Ember. Balor tried helping Mysterio, but it backfired on him as Vikingo kicked him in his head with the metal plate inside. Dragon Lee came to take out Balor and McDonough, but was outnumbered until Rey Mysterio made his way to the ring with a steel chair. He neutralized the Judgment Day members, but couldn't stop El Grande Americano. Vikingo tried to unmask Americano, with the referee trying to stop Vikingo. Amidst this chaos, Americano slid a metal plate to Mysterio, which he used to deliver a flying headbutt to secure the pin. Why Liv Morgan couldn't join Dominik Mysterio's celebrations? Morgan had to celebrate through her smartphone because of the shoulder injury she had from a match against Kairi Sane on Monday Night Raw. She needed immediate medical attention, canceling the match, thus writing her off the TV. Morgan made her first WWE appearance in 3 months. Check that here. Before the match, Dominik asked Rey to put the title around his waist and raise his hands once he became the champion. Rey saw it as overconfidence and arrogance, but had to strap the title around Dominik, during which he was visibly upset. Americano's recent involvement in Mysterio's title defense has been growing increasingly. Now that he is the king of all luchadors, it would be interesting to see whether Mysterio adds him to the Judgment Day, and how the other members react to it. Solo Sikoa breaks silence on future plans with stern message on WWE SmackDown. For a superstar who has felt lost in the shuffle since the definitive end of the Bloodline saga, Solo Sikoa appears to have found a new, violent sense of purpose. That purpose is centered squarely on the man who recently took his United States Championship, Sami Zayn. Following Zayn's successful title defense this week on SmackDown, Sikoa appeared with a pointed and intense message for the new champion, revealing the deep cost of his recent string of losses. You know what I had to sacrifice to get that championship in my hands, Sami? I've lost my bloodline, I've lost the Ulafala, and I've lost my US title. I've been living in the shadow of others for way too long. Sikoa's promo came on the heels of Zayn making good on his promise to restore the prestige of the US title by reviving the open challenge tradition. His first challenger, Rey Fenix, pushed the champion to his limit in an instant classic before Zayn put him away with an exploder suplex followed by a hell of a kick. The title change itself, which occurred just a couple of weeks ago, ended Sikoa's 62-day reign in a chaotic main event. That victory gave the 41-year-old Zayn his first ever run with the United States Championship. Sikoa's path has been turbulent since he was defeated by Roman Reigns back in January. His original title win came after turning on Jacob Fatu, who has been absent from programming recently. While many fans believe Sikoa still has massive potential, this deeply personal vendetta against Zayn seems to be the first step in forging a new path on his own. WWE 2K25 Coming to PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium on September 16, WWE 2K25 is set to arrive in the PlayStation Plus game catalog on Tuesday, September 16th for Extra and Premium subscribers. According to the PlayStation blog, the game made a big splash at launch with its massive roster of more than 300 superstars, covering multiple generations. From Seth freaking Rollins and Cody Rhodes to CM Punk, Jade Cargill, and legends like The Undertaker, the lineup has something for every era of Wrestling. Showcase mode, hosted by Paul Heyman, focuses on the rise of the bloodline, letting fans revisit their most memorable battles while also creating dream matchups against WWE greats. This year's My Rise shifts to a single story that connects the men's and women's divisions. Bayley, Kevin Owens, and others look to take over NXT, while side stories introduce allies like Jey Uso and Bianca Belair. Along the way, players can unlock new arenas, environments, and characters. MIGM also received a boost with the addition of online multiplayer, giving fans the chance to draft rosters and run their own brands through multi-week seasons. Universe Mode got its share of upgrades too, adding branching choices, new cutscenes, and commentary-driven promos to make each storyline feel more dynamic. On the gameplay side, intergender matches make their debut in the WWE 2K series. Chain Wrestling returns, new match types like Underground and Bloodline rules have been added, and 6 WWE matches that could be bigger than Canelo vs. Crawford. Boxing has one of its biggest events in years coming up with Canelo Alvarez vs. Terrence Crawford, set for this Saturday, September 13th, 2025, at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And with the bout streaming worldwide on Netflix without a pay-per-view wall, the historic matchup is expected to break several box office and viewership records. Hopefully, the bout itself lives up to all the hype, for that is a major point of discourse in all of combat sports, including professional wrestling. While Canelo is defending the undisputed super middleweight championship, Crawford, undefeated and already a 2-division former undisputed champion and 4-division former world champion, is moving up in weight class, chasing history. While the nature of building up to and delivering on the biggest matches in professional wrestling and professional boxing is quite drastic in distinction, the super fight, being jointly promoted by TKO and Saudi Arabia's Sela, has featured a ton of promotions via WWE. With next year's WrestleMania set to return to Las Vegas and WWE's recent announcement in Vegas itself that Mania will be heading to Riyadh in 2027, it has been abundantly clear that Saudi Arabia is looking at the OC headlining that show, against either Roman Reigns or Cody Rhodes, while WWE is looking at a humongous $250 million payday in guaranteed money for WrestleMania weekend in Riyadh. Major stars like The Rock also have the opportunity to potentially claim the biggest paychecks of their wrestling careers. TKO undoubtedly facilitates unprecedented commerce for combat sports, especially with its partnership with Saudi Arabia. And while it is tough to look at that in a vacuum while discarding any ethical or political suggestions that might have, it does open up the opportunity to have some of the biggest matches ever in professional wrestling, whether in Vegas or Saudi. With that said, in this article, we shall discuss the possibility of WWE promoting 6 matches in the near future that could be even bigger than Canelo vs. Crawford. The Rock vs. Roman Reigns is perhaps the biggest match in terms of mainstream appeal and opportunity that WWE has in its vault, and it not only has a natural story, but has actually been built toward quite spectacularly during the final boss run in 2024. WrestleMania 40 showcased that Dwayne Johnson can still go, and the build to the match illustrated just how captivating he can be as a character. The determinants at hand, besides Rock's physical ability by the time 2027 arrives, would be availability and motivation. As for the former, negotiations are on, and WrestleMania in Saudi Arabia isn't something Dwayne Johnson will back out on. As for motivation, if the love for the game isn't enough by itself, then a few dozen $1 million surely ought to do it. For Roman Reigns, it could make him more mainstream than ever to The Rock versus Cody Rhodes. The Rock and Cody Rhodes' on-screen dynamic turned out to be brilliantly captivating and uncomfortable on the road to WrestleMania 40 and on the few occasions since. And yet, a match or proper feud never materialized, much like the aforementioned one. On the contrary, The Rock's presence, and then lack thereof, left a sour aftertaste to Rhodes' incredible first reign as the WWE champion. The Rock's involvement with Cody has been subject to polarizing debate, and rightfully so. And while speculation regarding their real-life equation is not the subject of this article, it is quite evident that Dwayne Johnson wrestling either Reigns or Rhodes will be the final boss's decision, and WWE Creative will have to make that work. There is potential either way, and a lot would be on the line behind the scenes in this scenario. Steve Austin versus CM Punk. Saudi Arabia is looking at getting Stone Cold Steve Austin back for WrestleMania 43. And if Austin were to make a return, there is no man better suited to be his opponent than the best in the world, CM Punk. There are plenty of massive matches waiting for Punk. From his imminent blow-off versus Seth Rollins to massive box office potential and layered storytelling nuance waiting to be explored against Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns. However, if Austin versus Punk were to ever be a reality, WrestleMania 43 in Riyadh would be the only time and place for a match of such extraordinary proportions. There are a ton of roadblocks in the way of making the match happen, the biggest one being Steve Austin's willingness and physical shape. Nonetheless, in professional wrestling, we never say never. Hash 4. Sami Zayn winning his first ever world championship. Until a few years ago, Sami Zayn was barred from appearing on WWE's shows in Saudi Arabia. Since 2023, he has been the biggest babyface in the country. Saudi fans have embraced a man of Syrian origin as not just one of their own, but as the man who represents them on the global stage. Sami is no less than a national Saudi icon now. When WWE announced that Royal Rumble 2026 would be held in Riyadh, fans anticipated a Royal Rumble win for the ultimate underdog in his home, far away from home of sorts, before going on to WrestleMania 42, vying for a world championship. While that may still happen, WrestleMania 43 being in Riyadh opens up the potential for something even bigger. Zayn becoming world champion in Saudi Arabia. The story and moment would be unique to professional wrestling, for this is the only form of sports or entertainment that could deliver something of such magnitude and magnificence. As for who his opponent could be, Sami Zayn's character has unique and compelling dynamics with almost every major main event star in WWE. Unlike perhaps anyone else in WWE, the man standing between Zayn and his destiny could be Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, or even Jey Uso. In terms of exploring humongous untapped potential, the biggest story WWE has to tell would be, in the words of Jim Cornette, the biggest match in AEW history that never happened. That match would feature the American Nightmare against the voice of the voiceless. There are multiple stories on multiple planes waiting to be told between the two men, and there are two wars of words ahead of Royal Rumble 2024, Royal Rumble 2025, perhaps among the very best of their individual segments since their respective returns to WWE, which have had an extraordinary batting average throughout. Only scratch the surface of the magic the two can create. The best thing about this match is how fresh it would be despite their shared history, and the lack of any reliance on nostalgia or the desperate quest for mainstream attention or box office returns. Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk would be a program between two men who have mastered their craft, unlike almost anyone in the history of professional wrestling, and that is what draws people to the art form that is pro wrestling in the long term. The match could headline WrestleMania 42 in Las Vegas, with the WWE Championship on the line. Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins. WWE is very clearly building towards the defining clash of the Seth Rollins-Roman Reigns rivalry, very plausibly for WrestleMania 42. The history between the two is perhaps the most comprehensive one fans can find between two wrestlers in the modern era. Despite having wrestled on countless occasions, they haven't gone one-on-one in almost 4 years and have, in fact, not had a match that ended decisively in almost a decade. Reigns versus Rollins may not be as fresh as Rhodes versus Punk, but there are years of lore to be unraveled in what is one of the biggest matches WWE can promote, involving active, members of the roster, much like Cody Rhodes versus CM Punk. Seth Rollins' heel turned back in 2014, and the implosion of the Shield remains the genesis of modern WWE, and perhaps the greatest Plan B anyone has ever had. WWE may choose to go in an alternate direction for WrestleMania 42, in which case, it can always be saved for WrestleMania 43 in Riyadh.